I've always been creative. It's a cliche, but true. For every birthday or occasion, I received art supplies from a talented artist grandmother. I was always encouraged to try whatever I wanted, and my interests were wide ranging: drawing, moss gardens, costumes, building condos for my Francine doll, paper mache, embroidery, sculpting, writing, pretty much anything I was exposed to I wanted to try. My family was the biggest single influence on my development in the creative realm. My mother saved a lot of my early work, and I started to keep things I was proud of from an early age, I think around 8. I remember drawing cartoon characters when I was in kindergarten. Most of my 10th year was spent drawing nothing but horses. Then I switched to my classic period, which meant Greek temples, goddesses, and mythological creatures. We had a hobby farm, and we bred horses, raised animals to eat, and had a massive garden, and we went through every kind of pet you can think of. I drew our animals, so I improved a lot. Even drew logos for local events and horse clubs. I had cartoons published in breed publications as well. I would do life studies while killing time. I used to draw classmates surreptitiously while in math class, and I should have been paying attention to the math teacher, and that explains my abysmal marks in algebra. High school art classes were my favorite, of course, and our high school had a graphic art program where we did offset printing, linotype, and developed our own photos in a darkroom, and that was a huge amount of fun. I was in the Canadian Armed Forces for a few years and actually did a fair bit of drawing. Hurry up and wait was the motto of my unit, and I was able to draw interesting things from sitting in the back of a truck, like outhouses and the back of jeeps. I had the opportunity to travel, and museums were always at the top of my list. Visiting great works of art in person is absolutely mind-blowing. Art was not a career, so I pursued other options, but I never stopped making or learning. In the 1990s, my brother and I joined a Star Trek fan club, and that's when I discovered special effects makeup. That was a turning point for me, and it led to the next phase of my creative explorations and an actual career in the arts. Shannon Fell, makeup artist, costume, and prop designer. In 1997, I'd enrolled in the Blanche Macdonald Center's makeup artistry program. I was working at the time as executive assistant to the chief credit officer of HSBC Bank Canada, so I was attending the part-time program, which consisted of evenings and weekends. I was accepted into the program based on the strength of my portfolio that I'd learned in the Star Trek fan club and examples of what I'd taught myself from books. I enjoyed that program so much. I learned everything from basic beauty makeup to full prosthetic construction, laying hair and styling it, makeup for fashion and film. I graduated at the top of my class, and through school referrals and word of mouth, I was working on films, television, and theater productions right away. I was also recruited to take the union exam early and was given an approval pending status, which meant I could work on union productions without having to get approved for each one, and could build up my credits for a full membership application. As a makeup artist, the work wasn't steady, so I never gave up my day job, although those did change over the years. My makeup was a steady small business for me, and it made up a large portion of the household income. It also satisfied my creative passion in many ways. I discovered movies were pretty boring to work on. Getting prepped was great, design and building of things, but being on set was not. Then found out that I loved theater, as you get an immediate response to your work. With movies, you never really know what people think, but with theater, you can see. And theater was a chance to be extremely creative. Over the past 20 years, I've been the lead makeup and or designer on over 100 theatrical productions, from Cats to Les Miserables, from Jack and the Beanstalk to The Jungle Book. I've done movies, fashion, and television as well during that time. A few years into my makeup career, I decided to try face painting as a sideline. That really took off for me. In the region I was in, I was the only professional, and I was soon working pretty much every weekend and sometimes 3 jobs per day. I started to enter online competitions and did very well. Soon, I was attending international events and winning competitions in face and body painting. In 2005, I was named International Face Painter of the Year in the UK. I won the Fantasy Worldwide Face Painting Competition in Belgium in 2006. In 2006, Nazar USA Inc., a face painting company, put me under contract to produce a face painting book for beginners, which is called Your Face or Mine, was published in 2007, and is still available worldwide. Also in 2007, I won second place at the U.S. Body Painting Festival in Albuquerque. I was then being hired to demonstrate and teach around the world and had an opportunity to do some very cool jobs. I body painted a blues roots musician in the UK for her album cover and got to design and do the makeup for the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2010 Arctic Winter Games. I design and create costumes and props for theater, cosplay, do custom prosthetics, and pretty much anything anyone can think of. And I kept exploring other mediums in the arts and crafts. I incorporate those techniques into everything I make, and if there's a way to reuse or improvise, I will find it for wearable art, decorative art, murals, sculptures, furniture, etc. In 2015, my life changed in a very big way with the death of my mother. My priorities shifted, and I started to look at what I really wanted to do in my life. I started to try new things and decided life was too short not to follow my dreams, so I sold my business and moved across country. I'm now pursuing a formal arts education and traveling as much as I can. There's art everywhere, and I want to see it all, or as much as I can while I'm still on this planet. Recent work, school, and future. I discovered fused glass when I attended a workshop back in Alberta and then signed up for every class I had scheduled for the next year, up until I moved out to Ontario. I want to get back into it as I enjoy it a lot. I started working on clothing, customizing it. I decorated caps and shoes, etc., and a lot of that is experimental. I'm trying out different methods to color and stain fabrics, and the results vary. I wear a lot of my work in the summer months. I'm playing around with fiber art, like with weaving, needlework, using fabric in unconventional ways to create something that isn't usually made out of fabric. I use fabric mache for prop building a lot. I took a watercolor class and discovered that I absolutely love the medium. So fast to produce work. I've been lucky enough to have sold some art and had some commissions. I'm leaning towards pet portraiture, and I'm working on upping my skill set to excel in that area. I started attending Durham College full-time with the goal of eventually completing a bachelor's degree in fine art. I'll finish the 3-year fine arts advanced program here and then do the rest of the time required for a degree at another institution. My plan is to do so in Ireland, which ties my art and travel plans together nicely. Speaking of travel, in the last few years I have traveled to Morocco, South Africa, Eswatini, Mozambique, Portugal, and Spain. In my classes, I'm learning a lot and am able to work with materials I've never tried before. I created sculptures out of polymer clay. I started making mixed media work using a lot of my skills from prop building. I like to incorporate the wide skills and knowledge that I've accumulated over the years into my work to come up with something a little different. I've also stayed involved with the theater since arriving and help out with Theater on the Ridge in Port Perry, and I will be working on a production this winter for the Oshawa Little Theater. I've also stayed active in volunteering. Once I finish my degree, my plan is to work hopefully in arts administration, which will nicely combine my training and experience in nonprofit administration and volunteer management with the arts education I'm now pursuing. In the meantime, I live in student housing with 4 roommates. Everything I own is in one room, except for my car. I am ruthless about downsizing and eliminating excess stuff, as I intend to spend my time traveling and don't want to be tied down by possessions. I recycle most of my art into other projects and have realized that what I treasure will mean nothing to anyone after I am gone, so there is no point in hanging on to material things. Which means, buy my art now, as literally it won't last long.